Hey everyone, good morning. Got a bright sunny day here up in Tennessee. So this is part 3 of this series on the Ark of the Covenant. And just to kind of recap how we got here, we go back to the garden. We look at how God's intentions originally were towards man, and that he would be in his image and likeness. That's how we were created, in personality, in qualities, in disposition. God was reproducing himself in us. And Adam and Eve kind of let that slide by when they disobeyed. But that didn't change God's intention. His intention has always been, and not by force or demand, but by love and return to him, was to have a people in his image and likeness. And you see that in the 4th chapter of Ephesians, where he talks about coming into the fullness of Christ. Because it's not just about salvation, that's a beginning, but it doesn't end there. The intention of God has always been for us to be in his image and likeness. And what I propose, and if you look at it closely, you see that the typology, the symbology in the Ark of the Covenant is exactly that. The characteristics of God in an inanimate object reflecting what he wants to put in us. So picture that, the Ark of the Covenant's got things inside of it. Well, those are the same things he wants to put inside of us. So the next item on the list is Aaron's rod that budded. Now, I'll tell you a strange story. A long time ago, I was trying to propagate my blueberry bushes. And so I took a cutting from the blueberry bush and I put it into soil, and I bought this powder that you put on the stem to help propagate the roots. And I was trying to get it to stand up in this little planter pot, and trying to grow these grow more blueberry bushes. Got that out. And I couldn't get that new stalk to stand up straight. So I took a dead stick, put it right next to the sprig of blueberry stem, and tied it to it to get it to hold up while hopefully it was growing roots. Well, a funny thing happened. The blueberry sprig that I put in there never took, it died. But this dead stick that I put in the pot to hold it up, that grew leaves. So it reminded me of the story of Aaron's rod that budded and bore almonds. So that rod that's put inside the Ark of the Covenant symbolizes a couple of things. Shepherds use a rod. Now, you remember your verse from 23rd Psalm, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Well, the staff is a long pole, and that's really just to guide and steer the sheep as they walk. But the rod is completely different. That rod is meant for protection. That rod is meant to protect from the wolves and the wild animals. Now, when I was in Africa, I actually bought a shepherd's rod. And it's only about maybe a little over 3 feet long and tapered. At the end of it is a really big knot, and it's all one piece. So it's comes out of a root, where the root has one of these big knobs at the end. It's all one piece. And when I first saw it in a souvenir shop in Africa, I said, "What is this?" And he said, "Well, that's what we use to kill lions." And I'm like, "What? You said to kill lions?" He says, "Yeah, it's got the end of it where this knob is very dense, very hard." And he says, "We hit him in the head, right between the eyes." It's like, okay. So that gave me a picture of what a shepherd actually uses to fend off wolves and wild animals. So that was placed inside the Ark of the Covenant. Now, if you remember, the Ark of the Covenant in inches is a little less than 4 feet. So a staff would never fit in the Ark of the Covenant. It would only be a rod. And again, that was used for protection. And if you look at the scriptures, Jesus says, "Behold, I give you authority over all the power of the enemy." Okay? When he sent out the 70, they came back and said, even the demons are subject to us. And so placed within us, and this is the example of the rod, placed within us is the authority over the enemy. Spiritual weapons, okay? Spiritual weapons against the power of the enemy. So that's number one. Now there's another typology that's hidden in that rod, which is the fact that it budded. And it not only bore leaves and blossoms, but almonds as well. So it bare fruit. So that's the other aspect of what he places in us, and what he expects from us is he expects us to bear fruit. Okay? We're not here just to be saved and enjoy our salvation. It doesn't stop there. And if it stops there, that's pretty sad. Okay, yes, I'm grateful for salvation, the free gift that God, that Jesus brought to us. But he also says that he prunes us so that we will bear much fruit. And sometimes when people get pruned, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's so terrible, and, going through this difficult time. And when in reality, what God is doing is he's just pruning you back, because we are required, and it's good for us, to bear fruit, to bear good fruit. Okay, so two symbols of what is placed within us, us being the ark. We are the ark. We are the tabernacle. Okay? Jesus says, you are the temple. You're the tabernacle. You're the holder. We are the recipients of his Holy Spirit, his divine nature that's been placed in us. Okay, so now we're really getting into the meat of this typology that exists around the Ark of the Covenant. We've still got more to go. So anyway, that's part 3, and I'll be back for part 4 before you know it.